Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome back to Thanks for Holding, the real place for real talk on how technology, growth, and modern strategies are reshaping consumer brands today. So, my name is Hugo. I'm founding engineer at 14AI, and I have the pleasure of hosting this episode alongside Marie, CEO of 14AI. Hello, Marie.
Hello, good morning from San Francisco.
Today, we're diving deep into one of the most important questions for consumer brands in 2025. How do you actually scale efficiently in a hyper competitive market without burning cash on paid ads? So we're on hold with Morry Mitrani, VP of Growth at BelliWelli and previously growth lead at Bumble. Morry spent his days building and scaling full funnel growth engines, combining data driven marketing with creative experimentations. So, in this conversation, we'll break down what's really working today from acquisition channel that scales to retention, LTV, community led growth, and the systems behind predictable revenue. So, if you're a founder, a growth marketer, or brand operator looking to scale smarter and more sustainable, this one's for you. So, welcome, Maury.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much for being with us. So let's dive in with the first question. We were wondering,
Yeah.
like, you joined Bumble when they were only 15 people, right? In a two-bedroom apartment. That's it. That's correct.
Yes. Yeah. It
Okay.
was it was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. I can tell. Yeah. Well, from our experience, yeah, that is crazy. So, what did growth look like when you couldn't outspend anyone? Like what scrappy move from that era do you still have in mind or are still working?
Yeah. I mean, at that time, like you would see a lot of the organic efforts of Bumble doing stuff like on campuses, for example, which is where they really grew. So
Mm, yeah.
on American campuses, like they were going to different like sororities and fraternities and talking
Mhm.
about Bumble and making sure that other people were on Bumble and showing people who was on Bumble. So like very scrappy grassroots
Mhm.
efforts. And then on the digital side, I think like it's important to always think through creatively what kind of content you can produce. So from day
Mhm.
one, it was always about like what are stories being told, and I think you're going to see this as a constant theme in this conversation. It's like what stories can we tell that are
Mm.
unique and authentic to us, and then use them across all of our channels. So like in paid ads, for example, like success stories of people, real people meeting on Bumble became super valuable for us.
Mm.
Mm,
I can see.
Yeah.
Wow.
and when a brand comes to you convinced the problem is acquisition, how often do you feel it's actually the problem? What's the real bottleneck usually hiding behind it?
Um, I mean, there always could be like tweaks to acquisition for sure. I think the first thing I want to look at is, does the product have product market fit? And it obviously depends on what level of size the company is and the product is. But yeah, I would want to make sure that people actually resonate with the product, that they're targeting the right demo, because all of those things could be massive reasons for a product not really resonating with a certain audience. So um, I would want to make sure that all of those feel good. I'd probably want to look at whatever sort of retention metrics, even if it's a small cohort of people, like are even like the 10 people that you have in your product, or do they like the product and are they sticking
Yeah.
around? And is there anything we can learn from them? Right. Um, and then from there, it's like going back to what I said, it's like, how do you then take what's working for the cohorts that are sticking around and then using that as an acquisition lever and creating content out of it?
Mm. And so, like, have you seen that sometimes people were like needed to change their like actual the problem that they actually solved because they were like completely wrong about it, and the acquisition was not good because the product was not good at all. Have you seen that in the?
It might not be that the product isn't good. I think I've seen more of that. They're either not targeting the right audience
Mhm.
or they're trying to go way too broad too early.
Mm.
But I don't think it's like, hey, we need to go back to the drawing board and rebuild this product. It's just like
Okay.
maybe instead of all millennials as your target, maybe it's like millennials who are of this specific age, who are single, who are in high density areas. So I think that
Mm.
that more so it has become something that resonates with me of what to fix.
Mm.
Mhm.
Okay, I see. I see. I see.
And you mentioned product market fit. What's the definition for you for a consumer brand?
Yeah.
It's understanding of the people that are using your product. Do they want to keep using the product, and are they the right market?
Mhm.
Like, are they the market that fits your product? So, um, you can have an amazing product and you can have a really valuable market, but they might not mesh together, right? So, um, I think it's really understanding who is the right market, and sometimes the market is just like a few hundred people, right, to start, and then you keep growing and expanding from there. You have to find your red hot like target market first.
Hmm. I see. About like finding your consumers, paid acquisition is kind of brutal right now. So what kind of channels like are actually proving scalable for consumer brands in 25? And what's dead that people are still wasting money on? Like, what is your feeling about this?
I mean, this might be a little contrarian, but I don't think anything's necessarily dead. I think the
Mhm.
ways and approaches that you work, especially through paid acquisition channels, are evolving just like they
Mhm.
should be. So I come from the paid acquisition world, so I'll always not want to tell that organic is the only way to go, because paid is always going to be a massive engine to accelerate your organic growth.
Mhm.
But I've been at a few companies now that have really honed in on organic growth. So like one example is obviously where I'm at now, BelliWelli.
Mhm.
So TikTok, so our founder Katie has gone viral so many times on TikTok, um, for just doing really interesting things and not really putting a lot of money behind it. So I think that's a really good way. And then also my previous company at BPN, Nick, our CEO and founder, is also huge on YouTube and Instagram, and he has a massive YouTube following. So being authentic and trying to cut the noise in organic can absolutely do wonders. But then I always love to come in and accelerate that with paid,
Mhm.
with obviously the right levers that work for the time, that aren't 2015 Facebook ad levers.
Yeah.
Speaking of TikTok, everyone wants to figuring it out. So can you share more about what has been your learning with TikTok in the last months?
Yeah, I mean, TikTok's really interesting. I think it's absolutely the platform for people that don't have big audiences to get reach, right? And for free in a lot of cases. I think you just really have to hone in on breaking through the noise and testing
Mhm.
a ton of different things. So like one thing, a really good concrete example here is, so BelliWelli, where I'm at right now. Again, I'll go back to Katie. She's an amazing creative led founder. She really honed in on these like little skits at Walmart, that
Mhm.
she goes to Walmart and she like does these little skits, and some of them, they're like little tiny things that kind of resonate with like human personas and like what people think of when they're at Walmart and everything, and they just resonate. Some of these videos, who don't have any famous people or add any ads behind it, have gotten millions of views. So I'm actually learning a lot from the organic side from that. Um, so yeah, TikTok's just really interesting beast for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think
Yeah.
Vic, that's a good point. And yeah, we wanted to know, like you talked about like creative fatigue on socials, sometimes within days. How do you build a content engine that keeps up without burning your team or your budget? Because that's a real question. And I guess like as you answered a little bit, maybe you can have organic growth, but also on paid acquisition. Like, what are your strategies here?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a fan of tapping into creators that don't have massive followings to just iterate on a
Mm,
lot of content. So I mean, I've done this at all of my roles now, and it still works today. It's like tapping into people that create really good content, but
mm,
aren't, the Kim Kardashians of the world that will cost a lot of money. Like these people that can create really good content fast and can
mm,
understand what briefs we want to give them. You never want to give people like a full script to read, because that's always going to come out messy. So just give them like, hey, we want to talk about this, this, and this. And
mhm,
I always like to say, act like you're talking to a friend and like you're FaceTiming
mhm,
a friend, and that's how you're recording it. And then we'll cut that video into like a lot of different segments. So I call this like a creator engine, basically, of a few different creators that are known and trusted. and can just churn out weekly content.
Mm.
And obviously, like AI is a big component of this now, where I don't think, at least for the near future, you're going to be able to create this like amazing, ready to go asset via AI. But I do think it's a good accelerant, just like, paid is a good accelerant to organic. It can get things moving faster.
Wow.
And there's some instances where you can get good UGC from AI, but I don't think that in itself is ready to go. Like you definitely need some editing and design work on that.
I see.
Speaking of AI, what has been your experience with AI? What is currently working well for you and what is not working well at all?
I think what's not working well at all yet is what I just talked about, which is like this notion of you don't need any real people to create ads anymore. You just like plug in with Arc Ads or with Mirage or like any of these other tools, and it's ready to go. Because that hasn't been the case. I have not seen that. These things don't feel authentic and human yet. What has worked really well for me, like we just talked about, it's kind of like adding some accelerant to the fire and maybe using AI to like run briefs or like to show creators that creating content kind of maybe a version that you have in your head, but you don't know how to put it on paper or something. So like that's been helpful. And then from a productivity standpoint, I would say AI's drastically changed everything about my day to day. So that's not marketing specific, but like a good example is I use Whisper Flow for almost everything now, and I don't really type, to be honest. So like I don't do that. And then I've actually just started moving over from ChatGPT to Claude, and I found that to be really, really helpful as well. It's just I have an iPad open on my second screen, and Claude is just always there, and I'm just like moving back and forth. So
Wow.
yeah,
You have quite a
Yeah.
setup.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
that's nice. I think like this is this is the power tool, like where we can do so much things, and as you said, like for productivity it can increase like a lot what you can, the number of tasks that you can take in a single day. But I just wanted to come to the previous question because I was curious, like you were mentioning all the small creators or the mid-sized creators that you were talking to make the content more authentic, but at the same time without the cost of like the big ones on the social. So
Mhm.
I wanted I wanted to know, like, how do you find those creators? Like, do you have a playbook? Like, do you have some kind of ratio where you feel like for this size of audience and this creator, like there is a perfect ratio so that it doesn't cost too much, but at the same time it reaches the right audience and sufficient size, you know?
You'll be disappointed that I don't have a specific playbook for this. It's really kind of like gut feel. Um, I I I have not, and this is just me being transparent, and probably after this, I'll have like some of these UGC platforms reach out to me. But I have not found like a good tool out there that sources good UGC that you can use from a constant point of view. So the best thing I've always seen is just having someone on my team or me spend a few hours on Instagram and TikTok and find some people within the niche that we're trying to hit and then
Mm,
reach out to them manually. I have not found a good way to replicate that. There's probably like maybe some AI flows I can start building, but like the
mm,
the human aspect of like knowing, oh, this person would be good for my brand, I've not been able to replicate with technology yet. So
mm.
yeah, I wish I had a better answer, but that's how we do it.
Yeah, I feel it's very similar for us when we
Yeah.
invite guests for podcasts. It's very
Mm.
manual. Like when we reached out to you, it was not AI. It was me writing to you. And yeah,
Well,
I
when you
think
reached out, I could tell. Yeah, I could tell it was not AI. So yeah, it was working.
yeah. And sometimes you don't need to have AI for
Yeah.
everything. So
Yeah, I agree. You don't want it to overkill. I think from a public point of view, like you reaching out to people or like you writing things that are public on newsletters and LinkedIn, like that's where I think you be careful with going overboard on AI because it starts to feel very AI. But like from an internal like productivity point of view, it all like test everything, right? So that's how I've been looking at it.
yeah. Mhm. And so you mentioned the amazing story about your current founder, like very founder-led content. What
Mhm.
if a brand, the founder is not comfortable um, being like the face? How do you manufacture that authenticity?
Um, I I think that the authenticity of the brand still exists. It may
Mhm.
just not come from the founder, and that's okay. It doesn't always need to come from the founder. I've found that if you are authentic with your audience and whatever
Mhm.
that looks like, whether it's your founder being public facing or not, there is there's a human element to the brand that, especially now in today's AI world, feels very comforting, and like people can see, oh, this is a real brand being built by real humans, right?
Mhm.
So I think like as long as you understand what your authentic story is that you want to tell the world, and then you can find
Mhm.
out how to tell it, and that might not be through the founder, like you maybe it could be through employees. Like I've actually seen one approach that some B2B companies, which is interesting, is doing is like they're having all of their employees try to be active on LinkedIn, where like all of them have 10,000 plus followers. So like that's an interesting approach for B2B on like the B2C side. Um, yeah, I think it's just like trying to figure out who's telling the stories, and what
Mhm.
platforms you want to tell these stories on. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's not the founder, and that's okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, for LinkedIn, this is our strategy. We're all posting, trying our best. We don't have yet all of us 10,000. I personally don't have, but Marie and Mike already have. So we're trying to go all in LinkedIn content, and for now it has a lot of impact. So we're really happy about this. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
speaking of impact, I feel our biggest learning is being consistent.
Yeah.
What's
Mm.
your view on that for B2C
Yeah, I
content?
think well on B2C, especially on these other on these like platforms like TikTok, like you
Mm.
should be consistent. You should probably be like
Mhm.
over consistent with just testing a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can. I mean, again, like I recommend everyone go to BelliWelli's TikTok page, and you can see just how consistent Katie's, because Katie manages this TikTok account still, and how consistent she is with posting, and then how frequent she posts, because it's pretty phenomenal how she's able to do it. So
Mhm.
consistency is key. I need to learn some LinkedIn tips from you guys for sure, because I want to start growing my following as well.
Yeah, it takes time, and yeah, we don't use AI to create the posts, and I'm sure
Good,
Mhm.
it's the
that's
same
great.
for your founder on TikTok. I think being authentic and sharing also like personal experiences behind the scenes,
Mhm.
having a good mix of learning content and also like more fun content.
Mhm.
Yep, yeah, that's cool.
So you mentioned like you need to be consistent, and sometimes, especially for TikTok, it means a lot of experimentation, but it can be time consuming, right? So like even though like community-led growth is a big buzzword right now, how like when does it actually move the needle versus become a vanity project that distracts the team? Like how do you balance that?
I think community-led growth can take on a lot of different forms. Probably like
Mhm.
the best example I can think of is my previous role that I just left at BPN, where we had this we I mean they still have this massive community of
Mhm.
yes, followers of Nick, but more importantly followers of the brand.
Mm.
And they were able to do, in what feels like a very like digital world now, we were able to do a lot of in-person activities and
Mm.
activations that just felt very real. So like
Mhm.
every Austin Marathon, for example, you'll see BPN come out in droves. They're starting to expand that to like the Pittsburgh Marathon this year. So, and I don't know if you don't know BPN, it's a running and strength supplement company. So like running is core to the brand. So
Mhm.
showing up at these marathons has been a very good way to physically engage with the
Mm.
audience in such a digital world. So that's one good example. And like I said, it could take so many different forms. It could be the form of like a Facebook group, or it could be the form of um, any type of other in-person meeting that's not like a big type of marathon situation.
Mm.
So yeah,
Mhm.
it's an interesting one for sure. And I think more important now because of all this AI shit going on.
Yeah.
And can you share more about these in-person activations?
Yeah.
What have been your playbooks, if you have some?
Yeah, again, like no specific playbook, but it's more about understanding naturally where people like to
Mhm.
to be physically, and
Mm.
marathons are like the pinnacle of that, right? Because like the marathons come, there's so many people come out in droves to want to prove themselves and want to be in a marathon and want to run a marathon, and probably probably like beat their best time and everything. And a lot of times for those people, BPN has been a part of their training protocol for the last like 6 to 12 months as they've been training.
Mm.
So to be there physically with that audience, in addition to like helping them train over the last 6 months, I think is a really good culmination of a really
Yeah.
strong just like association with the brand.
Mhm.
Mm. I see what you mean, yeah. But have you found other like good examples, for example, of brands with in-person presence that really like led some growth, like maybe some significant growth, even.
Yeah, I mean, let's go back to the Bumble example, right? Like
Yeah.
Bumble grew on campuses, and
Mm.
I don't know how active they are anymore
Yeah.
with in-person events, but like at the time, we had an events
Mm.
team that would physically be at different events, like trying
Mm.
to get people on Bumble and like helping them understand the benefits of Bumble. Um, so yeah, that's another really good example
Yeah.
that it doesn't need to feel forced, where it's just like here's this random event sponsored
Mhm.
by Bumble. I don't think that'll ever do it. It
Yeah.
needs to feel, yeah, there needs to be like the right combination of this is the right way for us to show up
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
an event that isn't just let's slap our name on it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, we love hosting typing competitions at
Yeah.
our office in San
Oh, that's
Francisco.
cool. how how fast can you get?
Oh, some of them are very fast.
Oh yeah.
We are the two slowest ones.
We're not the right examples, but yeah.
I wonder how
Uh,
fast I could type. I would have no idea. It's
yeah.
words per minute, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay. So I would have no idea.
Well, now with
That's
those
fun.
tools, so you're very efficient, I think.
Yeah, I don't type, so I'm sure I'm very efficient.
Uh,
And you have scaled both mobile apps and physical products. What has been the biggest difference in growth, actually?
Um, I'll go over differences and similarities. So I think there are actually a lot of similarities. First, I'll start with the similarities, where it's like I I love sticking to consumer, and then
Mhm.
specifically, I love consumer subscription. I think like
mhm,
creating the habit around using a product, whether it's physical or digital, that just resonates with me, and I
mhm,
love being part of someone's life on a consistent basis.
Mhm.
So, really, when you think about like subscription, the whole idea is the same. Like you're trying to activate someone, whether it's like onboard them to this app or get them ready to physically take or like use a product on an ongoing basis. So I think all of that and optimizing for that is somewhat similar. What I have found the biggest difference is like the feedback you get, and
mhm,
it's not real time for a physical product, right?
Mhm.
So like at Bubble, for example, like we knew to a T how likely you were to retain based off of a lot of different things that happen on day one of your or day zero of your product onboarding.
mhm,
You don't really get that feedback
Mhm.
loop when you takes a few days to ship a product. Like you're not understanding how they're using a product
mhm,
physically in real time. So that's been the biggest difference I've seen, which is interesting. There are ways to figure out retention around that, obviously, but
yeah,
Mhm.
um, yeah, it's been interesting.
Yeah, I feel a lot of brands are now doing
yeah.
subscriptions for supplements. It's really a trend.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, BelliWelli has a great subscription program. BPN had a great subscription program.
Mm.
So again, it's kind of it's like the same feeling where it's like you're trying to create this habit for someone. Um, it's just different usage.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I was wondering, so we were speaking about like, you have like a sense of, in general, when you want to double down on something on a specific channel that works versus diversifying like all your different sources so that it doesn't dry up. Like in general, like how do you approach diversifying versus doubling down on one thing?
I mean, especially if you're a small brand, I don't think you want to spread yourself too thin, right? So like
Mm.
you really need to hone in on a channel that works for you. And sometimes
Mhm,
it takes some testing to get to that channel, but when something works, it doesn't necessarily like let's just say Facebook works for you. It doesn't necessarily mean the next week you need to go try TikTok because Facebook's working so well, right?
mm,
So like I think um it you need to like really understand how to get the most out of that platform and double down on it.
mhm,
I like to roughly like very rule of thumb, like very rough rule of thumb would be like 80% do what's working, 20% kind of try new things.
Mm.
So maybe like it takes a long time for you to really get a plateau, like to really hit a plateau on Meta. So be mindful of that. But if you want to try other things, just don't spend half of your day trying a new thing. Maybe spend like 20% of your day trying a new thing so you can really master the stuff that actually is working.
And so about this plateau that you were mentioning, like what separates the one that are still stuck at this plateau and the ones that are breaking it? Like, is it a specific recipe? Is it like a diversification, or you have to completely like switch content to make like something that is going to resonate with a bigger audience? Like, how do you feel about it?
It's a very loaded question.
Yeah.
I would say like the what I've seen before is brands are just not creating enough creative. But
Mm,
by creating enough creative, I don't necessarily mean taking one asset and like turning it into 10 tiny little versions of that asset. I
yeah.
mean like net new pieces of creative that you wouldn't have even thought of a few months ago, and
Mm,
sometimes net new creative for a net new persona. Because if you want to test into different personas, this kind of goes back to the product market fit. Eventually,
mhm.
you have to like start expanding out
Yeah.
of your like little tiny ecosystem. So if you want to start testing into other personas,
Mhm.
you need new creative for them. You need new landing experiences for them. So that should get you infinitely farther than just trying to iterate tiny little versions of a piece of creative on Facebook or Meta.
Mm.
Yeah.
And we mentioned a lot of best practices. Have you seen a big difference between what was working well maybe a few years ago and actually today we should not do it? It's like a no-go.
Um, I don't know necessarily anything's a no-go, but I am absolutely seeing that the algorithms are definitely rewarding creative iteration. And by
Mhm.
iteration, again, I'm meaning net new things. Like you gotta start getting creative and you gotta start maybe even onboarding different team members to like help you think about because you're just one person, so you need
Mhm.
to have some other people helping you think of net new things to test. I'm also seeing uh, the algorithm, Meta's algorithm specifically, really rewarding different landing experiences that, and this is again for consumer, but like if you're iterating pretty drastically on different landing experiences, I've seen the algorithm reward that. So that's another thing.
Mm.
Speaking of creativity, what has been your way to always get new creative ideas? Do you just wake up with a new idea every day?
I wish I could take the credit for that. No, I mean just having a really good team and always allowing the team to come up with crazy
Mhm.
new things. But then also, I think I mean, if you have what I talked about, which is like this creator engine, a lot of these creators are also kind of building new creative ideas, especially if you're not telling them what to say word for word. Like they'll come up with new things that you're not even thinking of. So just kind of put building like the building the ecosystem around you to allow for other creative ideas to come through has been really successful for me.
And I'm curious, like at BelliWelli or at Bumble, what were like some of the craziest ideas in terms of creativity that you had? Uh,
Um, craziest. Uh, well, the craziest might not necessarily have been winners, so keep that in mind.
yeah,
Um,
that was my second question. Like,
yeah.
how? Yeah.
Uh, I'm trying to think. I think at Bumble, I remember us testing some pretty interesting things that all resonated with the brand.
Mhm.
I'm sure my team at Bumble would remember more better than I can. Um,
Yeah.
I can't remember, but I know that we took big risks. So with risks, you're gonna get rewards, but you're also gonna get failures, and that's okay.
Yeah. And so you said that it doesn't necessarily convert or it doesn't work that much. Like, what did you feel at the time? Like, was it like a problem of like the target audience, or was it something else? Like, do you remember a little bit like what was like the reason this type of out of the box content didn't perform as much as you would have think about?
I mean, sometimes you don't really know the reason.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just like it's just flat out this content doesn't resonate with people outside of like your little box of that you
Yeah.
think it might work. So that's usually the case, and it's kind of hard to pinpoint. Oh, this could have been better. This could have been better. Sometimes it just doesn't work.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think we've seen this also like with our content. Like we try to do like some really well thought videos or like prepare some good piece of content, and this doesn't like, yeah, this doesn't either interest the audience, or we don't have the right hook, or like we don't know exactly like what is the reason that doesn't engage the people. But then we just do this simple video that has been filmed like for 15 seconds, and that's it, and then it blows. Like this is really interesting because you never know like exactly what is gonna like be hit or
Yeah,
just flop because nobody engaged with the content. So yeah, we really
and
feel, oh,
yeah, everybody has like bias on, oh, I think this
yeah.
is gonna work, or I don't think that's gonna work. And I'm just like, let's put it live and see, because you don't know and I don't know. We're just gonna have to find out
Yeah.
ourselves in real life. Yeah.
That's for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. Marie, do you have another question?
Yes, last question. So it looks like you do a lot.
Yeah.
Like, so how do you disconnect when? Because I think that's also an important
Mm.
when you are doing so much about growth. You like to get these creative ideas. You also need to find time for you. So what do you enjoy doing to recharge and to get this creativity?
I mean, I've found that like some of my most interesting ideas have come on walks. So like
Mhm.
I try to force myself to just go on a walk 1 or 2 times a day, and
Mhm.
I'll take my phone because I want to like jot the ideas down. But I've just found that that's been super helpful. I like this question. No one's ever asked me this question.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I mean, obviously, just like if you're just glued to your computer and your phone, you're never gonna get the like right brain space to take a step back. And I need to do a better job at this for sure. But even just
Mhm.
like spending time with my wife and my daughters, or my
Mhm.
yeah, my daughter is really helpful. It's just
Mhm.
it gets you out of the craziness of
Mhm.
being online all the time, and then just lets you take a second, and things come to you in that moment.
And I don't know about you, but I think like for me, this is where I get the most creative ideas. In general, like walks are always good to like think about like things that are out of the box, that are like here almost like in your head, but you haven't thought about like when you were working tirelessly. Yeah.
One
Mhm.
one thing I've started doing more of is I've been trying to go in the sauna a lot more, and
Oh,
I'll bring a notebook and a pen. It gets pretty wet, so be
yeah,
careful. But like I'll
that
just yeah,
was
but yeah, I'll just like I'll write ideas down because I can't have my phone because it'll break in
yeah.
there. So it's been
Yeah,
that's I've liked doing that a lot.
yeah.
That's a good thing. We should try it.
Yeah, I told Hugo I
Yeah.
wanted to organize for the team cold plunge and sauna activity. So
Yeah,
now I can say, hey, even
it's
Morry
probably
suggested.
yeah, it's
With the
probably not
cold
easy to
plunge,
do that in a cold plunge, but
yeah, it's gonna be hard to ride with a cold plunge. Yeah, that's for sure.
We will
yeah, while
report
you're
back.
shivering.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
Morry.
very
We did
much.
it.
Yeah, thank you very
Cool.
much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I liked it.
It was it was a super discussion. We really enjoyed. We hope you had a good time too. It's really interesting, and we learn a lot. That's always key learnings. Thanks to you, thanks to everyone every time in this show, and we're happy. We're continuing next time. We'll announce soon what the topic of the live will be. But in the meantime, thank you, Morry, for being with us. Thank you, Marie.
Mhm.
And until next time, have a great day. Thank you very
Mhm.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.